Welcome to Author Update, your weekly dose of publishing news that actually matters to your career.
This week, Amazon drops the bomb. Video ads are now live for KDP authors, promising a 40% engagement boost, but raising questions about who can afford to compete in that sphere. Meanwhile, Amazon Associates has sent a panicked email cracking down on paid ads to product links. If you're running Meta or Google ads to Amazon, this is something you need to hear about. Google's caught in a contradiction. Their spokesperson swears they don't train Gemini on your Gmail, but their terms of service tell a different story. Plus, we've got Black Friday deals that are going to save you thousands on the tools that you actually need. Let's dive in with our first story. Amazon announces video ads for authors, a game changer for
So some
indie
background on
publishers.
this. Historically, authors have not been allowed to add videos to Amazon, and this is very unique to authors. Customers can add videos, and every other kind of product creator on Amazon was able to add videos. If you made USB cables, you could put a video on your page, but authors were uniquely banned from putting videos on Amazon because authors had a reputation for making the worst possible videos.
So
Videos
bad.
that were so bad
I
that
would ban us too. I'm
the
not lying.
existence of the video caused sales to go down. So your typical book trailer that an author made themselves, even though they didn't go to video school and have no filmmaking experience, or they paid somebody a couple $100 to make on Fiverr, that video is worse than nothing. But Amazon has found the perfect workaround. Jonathan, what are the details?
So, in a move that is already sparking buzz among the self-publishing community as authors do the super secret villain finger thing, Amazon has officially rolled out video advertising capabilities through its sponsored brands program. This update allows eligible authors to incorporate dynamic video creatives into their ad campaigns. It was detailed in KDP's Advertising Help Center, Author Central Resources, to expand authors' uses beyond just static images and text. So, like the most complicated thing you could do before this was your A+ content, which is just a bunch of static images you arranged in a nice way. It was previously limited to authors with 3 or more eligible titles under a single name, but now it allows you to upload short video clips. Now think TikTok. We're talking like 15 to 30-second teasers that are best for showing plot hooks, character intros, behind-the-scenes footage. So that would allow you to do direct ad placements on Amazon search results and product detail areas. I've already seen this a few times as I've been cruising through Amazon, checking competition, doing research and stuff like that. So the vice president of Amazon Publishing, in a statement released today, said that video is the future of storytelling. This will allow authors to connect with readers on a deeper level, which will turn passive browsers into eager buyers. Now, I've kind of experienced this in the past couple of weeks already because I was using Grok's tool to animate my book covers, which is super fun, by the way. If you like, Semper Die turned out great. It was just Marines turning around each other, shooting zombies all around them. It was fantastic, and it resulted in a bunch of sales. I saw a spike increase from social media engagement, which is huge.
And to pause you real quick, if y'all haven't played with Grok Imagine and uploaded your book cover and asked Grok to animate or turn, what prompt did you use for Grok to get it to animate your book cover?
Let's see. For Semper Die, I uploaded I went into their Imagine section, uploaded the cover as the image, and then said, imagine 2 Marines circling back to back around each other as zombies rush them from all directions. It was a very simple prompt.
Yeah.
Didn't go into too much detail at all, and it came out with something fantastic. I'll upload it to authormedia.social.
Yeah.
So people can see.
Yeah. And once he does that, feel free, because I know some other people have already done this with authormedia.social. If you have an animated book cover, upload it to authormedia.social. And if you're willing, share the prompt that you use. We can get some ideas from each other.
Yeah.
So this kind of video, I think, is much more likely to sell a book than the kind of classic book trailer, which is a bunch of stock photos and text about a woman and her destiny.
And I think the difference there is that authors are terrible marketers. And so the author putting together the book trailer thinks they know what the reader wants and they usually miss the mark on what their target reader actually desires. So it becomes a very boring video. Because if it's a video, I want to watch a movie. But
And
if it's a book, like I don't the video to book barrier is actually really hard to cross.
And people have, especially in America, have a very high expectation of quality for video content. And it's
Yeah.
really, or it was really difficult to create anything of that level of quality without spending thousands of dollars. So the kind of gold standard for book trailers was Pride and Prejudice and Sea Monsters, no, Sense and Sensibility and Sea Monsters, and Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
Hmm.
Those books had really good trailers, but they were trailers that cost $10,000 or more. Most authors are not willing to spend that kind of money.
And
And
they
what
emphasized the gimmick that worked for the target reader.
right. It also didn't have anything to do with the plot,
Right.
which I think was key. So a lot of authors approach their trailers as like, "Oh, I've got to give away the plot. I've got to tell you about the book." No, you don't. You don't have to tell them anything about the book. All you have to do is make them curious about the book.
Hmm.
And what will protect authors from videos that don't work is the fact that they have to pay money. So just paying money will screen out a lot of authors who have no money because they haven't had any success yet. And a lot of those authors who haven't had any success need to be working on their craft and not on video. But of the remainder, the fact that you're paying money means that you're going to get really good data very quickly if your video is increasing sales or hurting sales. And that feedback mechanism tied to money is, I think, what's going to make this work, because Amazon could have given authors the data that the video was hurting their sales, and their authors would have never looked at that dashboard. But if they're paying money, they'll absolutely look at the dashboard.
Absolutely. This hurts.
Right? Like I
Pain is good.
have in the Patron Toolbox right now the Amazon Page Optimizer, which is a tool that will look at your book page on Amazon and give you feedback on how to optimize it. And most authors don't want to know how to optimize their Amazon pages. They don't want to know what's broken about their page. They'd rather just be in ignorance. But if they're paying for ads, then suddenly it changes and they do want to know what's broken. So the presence of money changes everything. It seems like a really minor difference, but it's actually really significant. And this is something I'll watch carefully. I think that for some authors, this is going to really do good things to their book sales, but for most authors, it's going to have no impact. And you don't have to make video ads. I disagree that the future of storytelling is video. The past of storytelling is video. We have had video for 100 years now. We've had talkies for
Mhm.
almost 100 years now. There's nothing new about video storytelling. And there's nothing new about video on the internet. This is just a slight. So I think the Amazon spokespeople are overselling this just a little
I
bit.
mean, I would too if I had just dumped a bunch of money in this. So somebody was asking, how much does it cost to do this? It just costs whatever you dump into the ads as far as the ad spend. And then if you spend anything on the video itself. I mean, honestly, you don't need to do a high level production kind of thing. I've seen people selling stuff by doing a little K-pop dance holding the book,
Don't do that.
like
Don't do
oh, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it now.
All right. So next, Amazon news. We have a surprising amount of Amazon news. I was promised a slow news week because I want to get into the deals roundup and talk about tools for authors that can help make your life easier, help you sell more books and write faster and better. And now is the best time of the year to buy the kinds of tools that will help you do that. But Amazon keeps dropping really big news on us on a
Yeah.
slow news week. So today they sent out this emergency email that when I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, this has always been the policy. But they sent it to two of my email addresses. They sent it to Jonathan, and it's a really big. It's not a change as much as it's a warning of a crackdown. So if you're in the Amazon Associates program, you are not allowed to link to a book on Amazon on Facebook and then boost that post. So if you're like, hey, announcement, I have a new book out, and you click here to buy it, and you boost that post, if the link to the book on Amazon is an affiliate link, you're in violation of Amazon's terms
Right.
of service. And it looks like they're going to start cracking down on this new on this new change starting today.
Now, this is specifically for the affiliate link. So if you were trying to double dip, by getting the book sale and then getting the affiliate revenue after that, this is where it's going to hit you. So if it comes from Meta, Google Ads, TikTok, something like that, and you do use the affiliate link as the link, that violates Amazon Associates terms of service, because now you're competing directly with Amazon's own advertising service. So that's where I had to go look that up. I'm like, what's your problem? Like, what's the big deal? Don't you want people coming regardless? And it has to do with the fact you're now competing with their advertising service, and they want people to use their advertising service because that's where they get their money.
If you're following the novel marketing method, this isn't really an issue for you, because if you have a book page on your website that you're buying ads and sending
Right.
people to, that book page can still have an affiliate link to Amazon. So if you just listen to my episode on Amazon optimization, which just about killed me. I don't know if I've ever done that much research for an episode. Maybe one other episode. the American Regions episode, I read an entire book and did a bunch of research, but that was fun research. It was me listening to an audiobook while I was living my life, not me watching paper presentations from academics on algorithm changes from 8 years ago and like digging in the math for the algorithm. It hurt me deeply. So I hope you enjoy that episode. But one of the things I talk about in that episode is the power of sending warm traffic to Amazon from your website. And I mentioned several times affiliate links, but I realize not everyone knows what that means. Affiliate links means you get paid twice. You get paid your normal royalty as an author, but you also get paid an affiliate commission as an affiliate of Amazon, which is another 2 to 10%, depending on what that person purchases. And I will say, I have a great episode on affiliate marketing. And affiliate marketing is how I support authormedia.social. So authormedia.social costs me around $1,000 a year for the technology that powers that. And there's no ads on authormedia.social, and I don't really charge for it. We recently added a one-time fee, but almost no one pays that because it's still free for patrons and people going through all of the courses. And the one-time fee is just to keep the bots out, and it by no means covers the $1,000 worth of expenses. So how do I cover authormedia.social is expenses with affiliate links, and specifically with Black Friday affiliate links. So I'll do deals throughout the rest of the year, but like there's more deals on Black Friday weekend than the whole rest of the year put together. And just that one weekend, just this one weekend, is able to support all of authormedia.social's costs, at least in the past. We'll see if it does this year or not. And so affiliate money can be actually quite lucrative if you get into it and you understand how to make it work. But one of the important aspects of affiliate marketing is to follow the rules, because Amazon gives themselves permission to claw back affiliate commissions that you've already earned if they find that you've been violating
You don't want that, Bill.
the terms of service. So my rule of thumb is don't put affiliate ads on Facebook at all. Even though you still can in an organic post, but I think that that's too risky on Facebook because it's so easy to boost a post, and Facebook will pressure you to do that. And there's other people that might boost the post. And so really, I recommend not to be on Facebook and not to be on Instagram. That is the worst. They're just the worst. But
if you're in romance, you don't have that choice. I'm sorry, your readership is on Facebook.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that. So just link to your own website. Bottom line, we don't have to harp on this too much. I don't see a lot of questions on this on the chat, but go ahead.
Let me throw a couple of details out because we haven't hit the details, okay? If you're using an affiliate link, you cannot do a boost post or a paid ad that goes to Amazon search pages, browse category pages, product pages, search results, anything like that, okay? You can go to your website that has an affiliate link on it, okay? You can go to owned properties like Shopify, Substack, YouTube, whatever. You can go to your Amazon storefront, but only to the homepage.
I don't think most authors have an and I don't think most authors have an Amazon storefront.
But for those that do, some have a lot of titles or whatever, then that would be something that you can do. So honestly, again, and algorithmically, honestly, you should be sending them to your website anyway, because like Thomas is saying, you want to warm up traffic before it gets to your Amazon page, because Amazon dings you for people that go to your page and bounce off, and they don't do any interaction with the page. If
you want to send traffic straight to Facebook or to Amazon, and you're a consenting adult and you understand the risks and the costs of doing that, and you don't want to try to get affiliate money, there is a way to do that. And that is to just create a link tag inside of your, I think it's in the KDP dashboard, that will give you all of the tracking data of an affiliate link, but without giving you the money of an affiliate link. And that tagged link will allow you to compare which campaigns are actually selling and which ones are not selling. But it doesn't allow you to retarget or cookie your visitors, which you can do if they go to your website. So once you start learning about advertising, you're going to start learning about a lot of things that you don't even know are possible. And a lot of them are only possible if you send people to your own website as a part of the process. So
Yes.
if we're not careful, we're going to squeeze in a whole advertising novel marketing episode inside of this author updates. And I do want to get to the Black Friday deals because there's some amazing deals. But first, I wanted to give you a chance to rebut my Amazon optimization episode, because I know you
Yes.
have a lot of opinions
So
on that episode.
I listened to your episode, and I really appreciated your emphasis on the practical parts of interacting with the algorithm. There were, like, I mean, I'm a targeter. I mean, that's what I did. So I love getting into the technical weeds on how, because this is not a single algorithm, it's several algorithms that have been mashed together, and they're different for different markets. So the Amazon.com market is different from the Amazon.uk market because, again, you have digital permissions and stuff like that. So watching the collaborative filter in play is honestly my favorite one, because that's what we did in the Intel community. Is we would match Intel against Intel that had come from other sources, and we would kind of crowdsource how viable Intel was. So watching the AI algorithm on Amazon, or maybe not even necessarily AI, although I'm sure they're powered that way, watching the algorithm on Amazon work to deliver the best possible results to an individual buyer is fascinating. And this is what I've been harping on for years, is you need to understand your target. Get out of your own head. No one cares what you think about your story. You need to care about what the reader thinks about your story, which is why user reviews are so important.
And nobody knows what you know about your story.
Right. No one has that level of context. Like, I swear, I keep sharing the music playlist I use to write Shades of Black, and no one cares. And so I learned that lesson the hard way. But watching the various filters go through and rank a book that you put out is fascinating, because Amazon is wholly oriented towards the consumer, towards the buyer, towards the user. And they just don't really care a whole lot about the individual creator and what they want to do. They just want to move.
They don't care
what
about us at all.
sells.
They don't care what book
At
the
all.
readers
Like,
read.
I mean, they say they do. We'll get into that on Google in a second. But, like, Amazon wants to stay on top as the #1 marketplace. And they started with books. Where they figured out their algorithm was the way they sorted books. They created a new Dewey Decimal System. The and the level of sophistication that is in it, it really just rewards the basics. Write good books that people want to read. Go out and give them to people, or preferably sell them to people, so that people are waiting for the next book.
Yeah, you can't algorithm hack your way around writing a book
No.
that readers want to read. And so good here has a very specific definition, and it's good according to your target readers and maybe more accurately, the readers inside of your genre, as far as Amazon is concerned. Because if you can't thrill the readers of your sub category, Amazon's not going to show your book to the sub category, and it's certainly not going to show your book to anyone in the subcategory. So you have to win in your little arena before you kind of grow to the bigger arenas.
So here's something that's really interesting. Is Leanne says, if they cared about me as the buyer, they'd quit putting sponsored things in my search. That's not true at all. That's not true at all. So you are annoyed by the ad that is interfering with your search or the experience you're trying to have, but you also sometimes appreciate it because the ad is tailored to you based on this collaborative filter, and it's going to offer you things that, hey, you might like. My favorite comparison on this is Minority Report, because they had holograms that would pop up, recognize you as a user / shopper at that store, and be like, hey, last time you were here, you got this. What do you think about this? Do you need this accessory that goes along with it? And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the future of shopping.
You
And
realize
now
that was a dystopia, right?
well, I knew that was coming. I honestly just want the hologram being able to sort things, on like Monday.com using my hands.
There's a hologram at the mall near us, and my kids chatter at it every time we walk by.
But the whole point of this is that we knew this was coming a long time ago. The ability to be able to tailor suggestions that you think annoy or irritate you, and authors are particularly very susceptible to this because we hate to annoy anyone, because we hate to be annoyed. We're introverts. We don't want people bothering us, so we would hate to bother other people. That's a sin in our made-up fictional ethical system. Okay? And that's not how it works. If people need to read your book, then they're going to do that. Then they need to know about it.
So,
okay, and there's multiple ways to do that.
Leanne says, when was the last time I bought something from a sponsored post? I do a lot, but I don't tend to notice it's a sponsored post if it's what I'm looking for. I only notice it's a sponsored post when it's a poor fit. And then I'm like, no, I didn't want fescue grass. I wanted ryegrass or whatever. And then I'm like, why is this sponsored post coming up in my search? But very often I'll do a search for something, and the very thing I'm searching for is what the sponsored post is, or it's very similar, or I don't care, and the sponsored post kind of guides me to the purchase.
You have to think of it like an aim bot on video games. When you're aiming your little targeter around with your little gun or whatever, video games have gotten to the point to where they're going to be like, adjust your aim to where they think you want you to go so you actually hit your shot. And that can be annoying if you're one of those, no, I was shooting at what I wanted to shoot at. But people, that seems to enhance the user experience is using aimbots. So,
and when you buy ads, you can see them working. Like, you get the data of the ads appearing on certain key phrases, and you can see how many people who see the ad click the ad, and how many of those people go on to buy. And so Amazon sees that data as well, and it allows Amazon to keep their prices low. Because here's the other thing: if they didn't have those ads, Amazon would have to raise their prices significantly, and people would prefer the lower prices almost all the time, even if it means ads. The people's willingness to pay to remove ads is far lower than you would think, depending on their socioeconomic bracket, right? For some people, money's not really an issue, and they'll happily pay for Hulu Premium or whatever to get rid of the ads. But for most people, they would rather save the money and see the ads. Any other thoughts on the algorithm before we talk about Google?
I don't want to suck up too much time because there's a lot we got to get into on Black Friday. Again, this is someplace I love to be because I love tracking user behavior and knowing.
Come to the Novel Marketing Conference. Jonathan's giving a whole session on the Amazon algorithm and how to target like a Marine sniper. Which should have been our
what I did title.
Was so if you want to learn more from Jonathan about how to target your readers on Amazon, come to the Novel Marketing Conference. Some of the tickets are still available. Standard tickets are sold out. Gallery super tickets are sold out, but there's still some gallery tickets for sale. You can find out more at novelmarketingconference.com. I was going to have a retraction for our segment last week about Google Gemini training on your data. But then I started reading Google's terms of service. I also got this week a notice from a class action notice from a U.S. District Court from a class action case that I am eligible to be in, suing Google for lying. They lied to me. It cost me money. And so my trust of Google at this particular week is very low. And so let's break this down. So Google, there was a lot of buzz. We were not the only ones buzzing about the training on Gmail data. There was a lot of tech outlets. I think we're the only one in the author space that was buzzing about it, but in tech world, people were buzzing about it quite a bit. And so they had a spokesman who unequivocally said, "We do not use your Gmail content for training Gemini AI models." And they were able to get retractions out of some of those news outlets. And I was like, "Oh, okay. So we'll clarify. We got it wrong." I did a lot of research last week, but hey, perhaps we got it wrong. But then I was like, let's check their terms of service, because I knew that Google Drive has an explicit clause in the terms of service that's a legally binding contract that says we do not train on your documents to train our AI models. And so I was like, okay, all I need to find is a clause like that in their regular terms of service for Gmail, and then I will be convinced. And instead, there is a phrase that bans you from using your content for AI training, but does not ban them from using your content for AI training. In fact, they even have, what is this phrase here? Grok pulled this up in research, and I was like, surely this isn't really in there. But it really is. I looked it up. It's in there 2 times, and it's where is it? It's that they use data for product improvement. It's like it's right there in the terms of service.
But they say it's just the spam filter and the smart features and stuff. But that's not what the terms. That's what the spokesperson is saying.
Right.
That's not what the terms of service is saying.
Yeah. Where? Service improvements. They use your data for service improvements, and so I'm not convinced that this spokesperson is telling the truth.
Yes.
I could be wrong, right? Like, it could be that they're only training the spam bot and they're not training on Gemini on this data. Totally possible. But if it comes out in a few years that they were misinformed, or they were unclear in their language, or whatever corporate circulation they will form, your ability to sue them over contract breach is very limited, because nowhere in the contract does it say that they don't train. In fact, it says just the opposite, that they use your data, that you're giving them a global right and license to all of your data that they can use for product improvements, right? And you can read the terms of service. It's right there. In fact, there's probably a link to it somewhere here on the page, because you don't have any more protections as a Gmail user than you have as a YouTube user. Like, I was looking for, and again, I could be wrong on this, but I was looking for a special Gmail terms of service, and every link I was following was just taking me to the regular YouTube terms of service, where it's you have the same protections as you have leaving a comment on YouTube. It's like, wow, this is not a lot of privacy protections for their email program. So
for those of us whose lives were run by the equivalent of the DMV, whenever we hear, like, whenever veterans hear this kind of stuff, we're like, uh-huh. Like, when you're at a formation, they're like, no, we totally didn't replace your flu shot with LSD. Like, like, we're like, uh-huh.
It's kind of like when you look up, what is it, Lyme disease? If you look it up on Wikipedia, there's a whole section on Wikipedia talking about how the United States Army did not create Lyme disease. And I'm like, what a strange section to have on a disease. How many other diseases have a section in Wikipedia specifically talking about how it was not created by the United States military? So they are saying, trust me, bro, we don't.
Spokesperson. When I hear a Google spokesperson say this kind of stuff that is actually directly contradictory to their own terms of service, they're trying to gaslight and silence the noise, because I've seen it before.
Also, the pairing this with all the dark patterns we talked about last week, all the dark patterns that they've built into it, why you have to cancel in 2 different places. And that's a lot of suspicious behavior if you're not doing anything wrong. It's a lot of furtive movements, as the police would say. It's like, you're acting really suspicious for a tech company that's doing nothing wrong. And they're like, trust me, bro, we don't train on Gmail, while they're legally saying we reserve the right to train on Gmail.
Look, one of the primary ways you hire a spokesperson is you tell them to lie to you and make eye contact. If they hold intense sincere eye contact the entire time, you have a good spokesperson on your hand.
Now, somebody brought up a question in the last episode, and I thought this was a good one. And they were like, why is this a bad thing? And I think this is actually a really important question because it may not be a bad thing. Gemini knowing more about you and your writing means Gemini knows more about you and your writing. And that may not be bad. What bothers me is not whether or not Gemini knows about your book. It's the consent issue and the dark patterns that they have built into the interface. Because in reality, getting AI to know more about your book is like something that I'm becoming like an expert on, that like conferences are having me speak on and guest lecture on at their virtual summits or whatever. I've been a guest on Joanna Penn talking about it. I've been a guest on other podcasts talking about it. Like, you want AIs to recommend your book, but you want to be able to have some control over what they know and what they don't know. And it feels like Gmail is acting very suspicious. And what I want to see from Gmail, if there's a Google PR person watching this video, I'll say what will get me to do a whole episode, and I'll pull it all back. Just put a clause in your actual legally binding terms of service that says, I do not train on AI data. This is not a pumpkin pie t-shirt. This is a University of Texas Longhorn shirt. We have our big
Just
game
put
tonight.
Your prison number up here. He got in trouble with Google.
Actually, speaking of which, this is our last episode on YouTube. So Author Update is leaving YouTube. Or rather, we're leaving this channel of YouTube. So this is our last time to be live on the Novel Marketing channel. It's time for us to grow up and move into our own house.
Stop living in your mom's basement.
We're going to have to start doing our own laundry and cooking our own food. So there's an Author Update channel. Up to this point, it's just had clips. So if you wanted to share a clip with a friend of a specific segment, like if you liked a Zeitgeist segment, or if you wanted to argue with your family members about Google's privacy and you wanted to just share that clip, you could do it. But starting next week, the live show will also be on Author Update, which means if you haven't yet liked and subscribed to the other channel, you may not find the show anymore. It'll be like we disappeared, when in reality, we didn't disappear. We just moved. All right. Let's talk about Black Friday deals for authors. I have spent my whole holiday. I took half of Thursday off to go be with the Umstat extended family. But I was working yesterday morning. I was up crack of my kids waking me up this morning, working on gathering deals. And I've gathered a lot of deals, but I want to kind of break through because sometimes there's multiple things that are competing products. We're going to walk you through the deal. And I'll give a little brief review. Jonathan may have used that tool. He may like it or not like it. So we'll walk through it. The first one is Bluehost. Basically, all of the web hosts have deals right now. So SiteGround, Bluehost, Hostinger. They're all basically the same. They're all cheap. And so a lot of people are expecting like white glove service from a $2 a month web host. And you're not going to get white glove service from a $2 a month web host, but you're going to get good $2 hosting from Bluehost or $8 hosting. The plan that I recommend is in the I think it's like $7 or $8 a month. It's WordPress hosting. Paying a little extra for faster hosting might be worth it, especially if you're nonfiction, especially if you're blogging. But they're all good. What I would recommend with Bluehost hosting or any of the web hosts is to lock in the price for as long as possible, because the renewal price will be significantly higher. So the renewal price for Bluehost is closer to $15 or $20 a month. It's the same with all of them. And that's where they actually make their money. They're basically losing money on you during this Black Friday sale. So lock in that loss leader price as long as possible is my recommendation. And I should point out, I don't use Bluehost. I use WP Engine, and I pay for hosting Author Media and all the other websites like $500 or $600 a month. It's a lot of money. So web hosting can get really expensive. Try to use cheap hosting as long as you can. Bluehost is a great place to start. And the $500 a month, if that freaks you out, it's for a lot of websites, and a lot of those websites are very popular. So it's not just authormedia.com. Jonathan, do you use Bluehost for your website?
Used to.
Okay.
I'm now working with another guy who's hosting me now, I think through Namecheap, I want to say. But Bluehost I totally recommend. Like they were a decent price, and their interface is not difficult to deal with. So like when I had to do the ConvertKit verification of my work email. It was super easy to do through Bluehost. Their cPanel is really easy to understand. And you can ChatGPT it because Bluehost is used by so many people. So you're going to get good data from when you ask ChatGPT, how the heck do I do this? It'll be able to tell you.
Or Grok. We found Grok is really good at tech support for things because it will go and read every support page and then it will give you an answer that's a synthesis of all of the support pages. The next thing is Plotter. You can save 40% off on Plotter. And by the way, I have links in the description down below. I have affiliate links for all of these services. If you want to use our affiliate links that help support the show, it'll take you to an authormedia.social board where I have like a whole review. Because some of these services I have whole episodes on. And so I got AI Thomas to do a summary for. Plotter is one of those services. It's interesting because Plotter now, probably 20 or 30% of the features that are in Plotter, you can now do with the Patron Toolbox, so they are companions. So Plotter is a great tool for creating a plot or tracking your multiple plot lines and keeping your compendium. I have tools that will keep your compendium, but this is more like a living compendium. And I haven't used it because I'm not a novelist, but the novelists I've talked to who use it really like it. It's not very expensive, and it's one of those tools that just saves you time and helps you stay organized. If you write by the seat of your pants, a tool that helps you stay organized is even more valuable than if you're an outliner. If you're an outliner, you've probably already created your own system. And you may not need this.
I was a write by the seat of my pants novelist on my first book. And now I'm on the third book with 7 attached novellas to it. I use Plotter now.
You're like, dear God, what have I done? Save me from myself.
Where's this guy? What's he doing? Oh my gosh, I forgot about him. Yes, it's Plotter's a great tool. I love using it to create different arcs for different characters going throughout a novel so that I can work them all in the appropriate spaces. So you can have chapters on the top and then different characters going down vertically and having them take specific actions that move their arc on specifically there. So I recommend Plotter. I think it's great. You guys should get into that.
Leanne says you need something that will keep you sane. I think
I have children. That is not happening.
That has not been invented yet. Yeah.
No. We are careening off the walls. Okay.
Ray, somebody says Plotter was pretty cool to use even as a plotter. Yeah. I have thought about referring to my children as entropies because they seem to be a source of entropy.
Yes.
They can go into a clean room and bring entropy. Okay. The next deal is on Divi. So I'm a big fan of Divi for
Divi's great.
Websites. You can save up to 78% on Divi. I will say a huge pro tip for Divi. Grok can, again, Divi is very well documented. And so Grok will read all of the support pages on Divi. It's also very familiar with WordPress. And I mean, I've been building websites for 20 years, so I don't have to use Grok very often to answer questions. But the few times I've done it, it's like, here are 3 different ways to do it. Here's a special Divi way. Here's a special WordPress way. Here's, and it makes using Divi a lot easier. But Divi also has an AI mode where instead of building the web page, you just describe what you want the web page to be, and you click a button, and Divi AI builds the web page for you. And so if you want to work with a webmaster but can't afford it, consider using the Black Friday deal to pay for Divi AI, and then you have your webmaster, and you just describe what you want the page to be, you describe what you want the changes to be, so you can build a web page through chat that's still a fully powered WordPress web page, rather than dragging the Divi box.
And even if it's not exactly what you want, it's functional. It'll do the job that you want for it. So I thoroughly recommend Divi. I've built several websites with it. It's basically plug and play, very easy to use. And I've used ChatGPT to ask questions. So Thomas has used Grok. I use ChatGPT, and both do a great job of explaining things to you. Oh, this thing is over here. You need to go hit here. Oh, good, because I was looking for this freaking option for half an hour before I just asked you.
Funny story about ChatGPT and Grok. Yesterday, my wife asked Grok if the cranberry salad from Thanksgiving that had been out for 4 hours, if it was safe to eat. And Grok went and grabbed research papers and all of this stuff. And it was like, yes, it's still safe to eat because of the acidity and the sugar. It's very unlikely that it has anything growing in it. And then this morning she was curious again, so she asked ChatGPT, and ChatGPT was just like, no, it's past the 2-hour limit. Just use a simple rule of thumb. And so I was like, feed the prompts to each other and see what they say. So she fed the Grok prompt to ChatGPT and asked ChatGPT what it thought. And it was like, oh, yeah, actually, Grok is correct. That research is good. It's good to eat. And then Grok is like, no, ChatGPT is wrong. I did the research. I know. Anyway, I thought that was really funny.
That's funny.
All right. So in Amazon Kindle, every author needs to own an Amazon Kindle. It doesn't have to be a new one. You don't have to use it a lot, but you need to own a physical Kindle, particularly if you write fiction and particularly if you're indie, because this is the primary way your readers will be experiencing your book. And you can't ensure a good reader experience if you yourself do not own a Kindle.
Right.
The two best times of the year to buy an Amazon Kindle are during Amazon Prime Days, when they put it on a big discount, and Black Friday when they put it on a big discount. So this is a really good time to buy Kindle. I have an affiliate link.
This is a great giveaway. Buy your Kindles now for the giveaways you're going to do throughout the year, because giving a Kindle with your book on it away as part of a big giveaway or whatever, or a list growing mechanism, fantastic.
Although you will have to pay shipping twice, whereas if you buy the Kindle directly, so this would be a great time to host a giveaway or even plan your giveaway for next time, so you can buy it on the Black Friday special and then have Amazon mail it directly to the winner, so you only have to pay shipping one time.
I mean, I send them other stuff too. I send them promotional materials to my website and stuff, so I don't mind paying the double shipping.
Yeah, if you want to include your book or bookmarks or whatever, you'll have to pay double shipping. Okay. Amazon has an amazing deal on the MacBook Air. The 2025 MacBook Air, I did a whole episode about why it was an unbelievable deal at $1,000. How it was $1,100 the year before. They dropped the price to $1,000 while doubling the RAM, which is even more of a deal right now, as RAM prices have gone crazy because of AI in China. I was trying to upgrade my computer, and RAM that was $89 a month before is now $250. Just the RAM prices are going crazy. Macs suddenly have become cheaper than PCs because of what's going on in the RAM market. And Apple, for some reason, just doesn't care what's going on with the RAM prices. And they took their $1,000 amazing deal laptop, and for Black Friday, they dropped the price to $750.
Yep.
It's like, wow, that
when it comes
to really good price.
When it comes to RAM, it's cheaper to buy an actual physical RAM that you feed in your backyard than it is to get stuff for your computer. So this is a great deal. If you need an author laptop, this is a fantastic choice. It runs forever. It runs quickly. It restarts quickly. They don't update it every week. It's definitely worth grabbing. Publisher Rocket. This is another fantastic program you need to use as a targeter. If you're going to listen to anything I tell you at Novel Marketing Conference, you're going to need to have Publisher Rocket, because it's a fantastic targeting tool. It has so much collated in it and gives you so many, just at your fingertips, basic data compilations that will help you target. So if you don't have Publisher Rocket, it's going to be really difficult to interpret data.
Yeah, most of you probably already have. Let us know in the chat if you already have it, because and say that with all of these, actually, because if you all already have something, we don't want to talk about how great it is, because a lot of these tools are like tools that every author ends up getting. Every author ends up buying Publisher Rocket. It's just like a core tool of being an author, especially because it's a one-time purchase, and so everyone ends up buying it at some point, and then they have it for life. Another tool in that same category is Scrivener, right? Who doesn't have?
Let me talk about that one, because I'm the writer. Okay, I use Scrivener like crazy. Okay, because I love being able to use the folders as chapters, and then I can arrange individual scenes, which I use in conjunction with Plotter, to where I'll take character arcs, write them out in there entirely, but then I can have them broken up individual scenes, and then I can just drag and drop them throughout the novel for when I'm preparing for the finished product, when the novel is going to be complete. Scrivener is fantastic for that. It has a lot of in-depth features you can use if you really want to, like note-taking, dropping in notes, articles, research articles, photos, maps, all kinds of stuff that's going to help you as you're going through Scrivener. So I absolutely recommend Scrivener. It's 25% off if you use the coupon code Black Friday 2025. Thomas, next one is podcast.
Hold on. Somebody asked, what does Publisher Rocket actually do? And I was like, oh yeah, we should probably explain what it is instead of just saying you need to buy it. It's a market research tool for helping you research keywords and categories on Amazon. So people who don't have Publisher Rocket don't really understand how Amazon works, and they don't really have a good way of getting data unless they have Klytics. Both of those are good. Publisher Rocket's a lot cheaper, though, I will say, than Klytics.
Yeah.
They're like, the way I describe it is they're like your left eye and your right eye for understanding the Amazon market. And if you don't have either one, you just like think you put a book on Amazon and you get sales. And then people spend years writing a book. They put it on Amazon, they get no sales, and they get really frustrated. And then they write another book, and then they buy Publisher Rocket. It's like they're starting their whole career over again after 5 years.
Right.
So save yourself that trouble. Buy Publisher Rocket before you finish your book, and tune your book to actually fit on Amazon and to appeal to Amazon customers. You can go. I have a whole episode on it, which I encourage you to listen to. It's on authormedia.com. I also have, if you click the link below this video, I have a whole page talking about the deal and with more info about Publish Rocket. Okay, podcast gear. I'm not going to talk about podcast gear. I know a lot of you don't care about podcast gear, but if you've been thinking about starting a podcast, the best time to get the stuff you need is on Black Friday. I went through my whole gear guide, found what was on sale, and posted links to it. I've got a really good $50 microphone. It's a really good $450 microphone. And then I have a really good $200 microphone. There's some arms, some headphones, some software. It's all for sale. We'll have a link to it.
So I see a lot of questions about more technical aspects of these programs and stuff. Guys, I'm starting an Author Arsenal channel to where I'm going to go in depth on these programs and stuff and these tools. So as soon as I have some videos ready to go, I'm hitting the big ones first. You guys can watch those. I'll have tutorials and run throughs and value judgments and stuff like that. So you guys can watch that, and that'll help answer a lot of these questions as to how you should be using them with the most optimal way of using them.
Yeah. And every time you post a new Author Arsenal, we'll mention it here. All right, Kit and MailerLite. You don't need both of these, but every author needs an email newsletter, and Kit, MailerLite, and Substack are the big ones for most authors. Kit's a little bit more expensive and a lot easier to use. It's what I personally use. It's also a little bit more powerful. MailerLite is you use Kit. I thought you used MailerLite.
I use Kit.
Okay.
Nope, I use Kit.
MailerLite is cheaper, and it's made for small businesses. And if you are really tech savvy and you enjoy technical details, MailerLite can be a lot of fun for you. And you also can have the feeling of superiority that you're not wasting money like those Kit users.
Absolutely, which is the best part.
But I will say Kit has some really great features, including some really good features to help you grow your list. So you can recommend a fellow author who's also using Kit, and they can recommend you. And anytime somebody signs up for your list, they get promoted. And anytime somebody signs up for their list, you get promoted. Very similar to Substack. So Kit is adding a lot of Substack style features into it. It also has a whole e-commerce engine built into it. It's got a reader magnet delivery engine built into it. So it's a much more robust platform. I really like Kit. It's what I use and recommend, but I don't hate on people who use MailerLite. MailerLite pays me the better affiliate commission, I will say. so I should be promoting MailerLite harder, but I prefer Kit personally. But they're both good. I have affiliate links to both of them at authormedia.social. Pro Writing Aid. So I have recently fallen out of love with Grammarly, and I haven't fallen into Pro Writing Aid, but they're still on the list.
I use Pro Writing Aid as my primary AI editor. It is more annoying now that a lot of the woke kind of idea has permeated. I don't write woke stuff. I write violent stuff where people say things that aren't kosher. And it keeps coming up. You shouldn't say this. This is hurtful. This is, I'm like, these are Marines. Chill. Like, geez. I'm not sanitizing Marines to make you happy. Pro Writing Aid's AI. So I do like using it for word repetition. It will tell you how many times you've used words in a particular segment. That's fantastic for me because my nightmare is using the word blade 12 times on one page and in Darkness Cast, and it still makes me shudder. So Pro Writing Aid is good for catching that kind of stuff. And you can turn off these other features, which I have done, and just use it for what you wanted to use it for.
I have a really important episode called When to Ignore Your Editor that I feel like every author needs to listen to.
Right.
And it will be it's an episode about protecting your voice, but it's also an episode about interpreting feedback from your editor, whether that editor is human or AI. And knowing when to listen and when to ignore your editor is one of the most important skills as an author. If your voice is going to mean anything, if you're not just going to be a slop author, if you want to be an actual author creating art, creating quality, creating something with a hope of enduring. Knowing when to listen and when to ignore is really key. So whether you get Pro Writing Aid or Grammarly, or you use the Patron Toolbox tools, because a lot of what Pro Writing Aid does, Patron Toolbox tools can also do. Pro Writing Aid is a little more convenient and it's more integrated. So it has like a writing interface where it's checking as you're writing that the Toolbox tools don't have. But regardless of how you get your editorial feedback, you need to know how to interpret that feedback. And that's what that episode will help you with. And we have even more deals, but I think that's enough deals for today because we do need to get to the Zeitgeist segment. So I have a whole board on authormedia.social called Author Deals. And that's nothing but deals on tools for authors. There's also a board called Book Deals. So if your book is on sale, like if you're doing a promo or something for your book, you can post your book to the Book Deals page. And do you know how much it costs to feature your book on the authormedia.social Book Deals page? Nothing. It's free. So it's just one of the perks of being on authormedia.social. All right. Zeitgeist.
Zeitgeist. Long live the fighters. So I've been trolling through X this past week, and the great wheel ever turns. There are perennial questions that keep coming up, and this time it was, is Paul Atreides the villain of Frank Herbert's Dune? Now, there's so much involved with this. I'm going to give a quick overview, and then we'll dive right into the discussion. Dune is basically about the best Chosen One story outside of maybe The Matrix in how pure it is on the messianic thing. Paul Atreides is the prophesied one. He's actually like supposedly genetically created, but then it was an accident. He's kind of a random thing, kind of messing up the Bene Gesserit breeding plan. His family gets targeted in a feudal strike to where they're like wiped out. But then he takes up with the desert peoples, the Fremen, on Dune, and rises to become a leader of theirs and becoming a charismatic figure, taking advantage of their prophecies, which, by the way, were seeded by the Bene Gesserit, and coming back to take power away from the Emperor and becoming the Emperor of the known universe through that way. That's the basic story of the first Dune book, okay? And then it goes on for several. I've read the whole series, okay? So I understand where the whole thing goes.
Including the prequels by his
all
son?
of them. All of them. All right? I've read Navigators of Dune, Swordmaster, all that stuff, okay? I've read all of them. And I really enjoy Kevin Anderson and Brian Herbert's continuance. I disagree with most people who think he turned them into trash.
So let me pause you real quick. So one clarification. If you have not read the books, the first book is the first two films.
Yes.
So if you've watched both of the first two movies, you have seen the first book's worth of story, and which is enough. So if you haven't read the books, it's okay. For this conversation about is Paul a hero or a villain?
Yes. Although the second movie, part 2, the end of it is against what the books created. And we'll talk about that here, okay? Because I think a lot of this discussion is coming from the fact that people haven't read the book, they watched that movie. And so they're missing a large chunk because that was changed there. So let's go over the arguments for why Paul is thought of as maybe the bad guy, okay? The end of the Dune movie and the end of the Dune book, Paul basically overthrows the Emperor and leads the Fremen out into the galaxy to overthrow every feudal system as part of a galaxy-wide jihad. And there are reports that 61 billion people die in this war, in this jihad. I agree. Leto 2 is fairly amazing. It devastates everything, every system, everything that their culture is based on, which they call the tripod. It's the Emperor and his Sardaukar, the Merchants Guild and the Navigators. And the Bene Gesserit are advisors to the Emperor Arm. He overthrows all of it and institutes a religious system instead, where the Fremen are running everything. There's a lot of people, when you read the book, it's not a simple good guys versus bad guys, even though it kind of starts out that way. Paul is the target. He's targeted by the Harkonnens, who are obviously bad, which they've whitewashed that. Harkonnens do a ton of terrible things. The Baron Harkonnen is a rapist.
If you thought they were evil in the movies, they're far
worse.
more evil in the books.
And I hate that they dropped the Gurney Halleck arc between the Baron and Raban. Anyway,
it's a difficult story to adapt for film.
Yes, the Harkonnens do an overthrow on the Atreides to destroy them with the secret support of the Emperor and his Sardaukar. The Sardaukar are like super warriors. They're like the Legionnaires. Paul escapes into the desert with his mother and are picked up by the Fremen. And he and his mother being Bene Gesserit, and Paul being kind of half Bene Gesserit, trained as one, but he's a male, so that's not supposed to happen. They decide to use their influence with the Fremen to use the Fremen and their prophecies to overthrow the Galaxy Order. And this is where a lot of the discussion comes in. Is that moral? Is it ethical to do that? Who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? If you read through the whole series, you'll see that Paul is afflicted by these horrible visions of the galaxy burning down. And what you don't realize is AI is the problem. He's basically trying to get humanity onto a course so that they won't be wiped out by the machines that started the Butlerian Jihad in the first place. And they're trying to create the superhuman. The breeding program is trying to create the superhuman, and then the twist is that it's never Paul in the first place. But he is the focus of the whole thing. At the end, though, at the end of book 2, he rejects the path. He doesn't want to become the God Emperor because it's so awful and it's so terrible. And his love story with Chani actually has a lot to do with that, because she kept him human. And her simple loyalty to her tribe and to her family and to him is what kept him human, and ultimately he rejected that path. His son, Leto II, did not, and that's where God Emperor of Dune comes from. And he actually enacted the great control over spice and oppressing pretty much the whole galaxy to keep them down, so that the great enemy out there in the stars never even saw them. So the argument is, are the atrocities that were committed on the side of the Atreides worth it to prevent the total genocide and extinction of the entire human race?
This is a quintessential Cold War story.
Yes.
Because this kind of question was something that Cold War people, and the original Dune books came out in the 1960s. So this is in 1970s. So this is peak. What did we do to Japan nuking it? But also, what could we do to the Soviets? Right? Is it worth it to save the human race? Right? So to connect it with the zeitgeist, the reason why those stories were so resonant at the time and why Dune became such a popular hit back in the day when it first came out was because it was speaking to a core moral question that Americans were dealing with, and a fear that they had. The sense of existential destruction was very different back then. It was this kind of technological sudden collapse. Now, the current zeitgeist is more this feeling of societal decay and civilizational collapse, which is different from the bomb going off. People aren't too concerned about the bomb going off. Although last night I was driving my kids home from Thanksgiving, and we were talking about some plans that we had for the future, and I used the phrase "a bridge too far." And my daughter, my 7-year-old, is like, "You use that phrase "a bridge too far." Where does that come from?" And I was like, I've trained my whole life for this.
Oh, no.
So I spent 30 minutes telling her about Operation Market Garden and World War II. And by
Sit
the
down.
end, we got to the atomic bomb.
You gonna learn today.
I was like, you don't have to ask me very, very carefully about World War II. And
It's
like,
a big button.
I have waited my whole life, my lovely daughter, for you to ask a World War II question, even if you didn't know it was a World War II question. Anyway, and so I was explaining, because she got very scared about the bomb. And so I was explaining the bomb. And once I explained that the Russians had it and that everyone had it. And so I explained her mutually assured destruction, actually, which calmed her down, because understanding mutually assured destruction, that the reason no one nukes us is that we'll nuke them back. And that's what's kept any of the bombs from going off, was actually very calming for her, which is very interesting, because that was the whole point. I forgot what the point was. Oh, so, but anyway, that fear that she has is came and went very quickly. It's not an existential societal fear. I think we should be more afraid of the bomb, because they're all still there. But the more resonant fear is one that the Son of the Black Sword series actually captures really well. I'm finishing the last book of the Son of the Black Sword series by Larry Correia, and those are some of the most zeitgeist resonant stories I have read in a really long time, because they're, each one of them is like 2 or 3 years ahead of where culture's getting, and where like the discussion on X is. It's like, how is this book so relevant to what's going on when it was written 2 years before this current discussion? They're brilliant books. If you like sword and sorcery or epic fantasy.
Because Larry is permanently on X.
Yeah, but and I guess he uses it to kind of get a sense of where culture's headed. It's actually good, because he doesn't promote his books on X, but he does listen on X, and he engages with cultural discussions, and then he works them in an entirely different context. So anyway, I just want to give that context in terms of like understanding the zeitgeist of when it was made. And so when they are adapting it, they're having to adapt it for a different zeitgeist, where we're not as concerned about the bomb and sudden existential destruction.
So the major thing they did in the movie was they changed Chani. Instead of her being the one that draws Paul into the Fremen, she's now the one trying to keep him out, and Jessica is the one trying to put him in. At the end of the movie, Chani actually leaves Paul as he launches the invasion with the Fremen into the galaxy. Chani leaves him, which is so frustrating. It's like infuriating, because Chani and Paul are the great romance of sci-fi. I mean, even above Anakin and Padme. When you talk about people who love each other in sci-fi, Paul and Chani are there. Like, they're at least top 3. And the fact that Chani leaves him is a strike at the idea of the Chosen One, that the Messiah should not be followed. The whole time, Chani is resisting Paul ascending to become leader of the Fremen. And in the book, that is not what happens. She is the one drawing him in, and Jessica's concerned he's becoming too Fremen-like. And just her leaving him was a rejection of the idea that one man will save us, or that or they tried to simplify the morality, and I think it doesn't work in a story like Dune, because they were like, no, he's lying, so she's leaving. Except he's not really lying. He's just he's walking a path that's extraordinarily difficult, and they took away his primary support structure, which is why I hate it so much.
I guess one of the I've been kind of puzzled why I like Dune, because in many ways it's the kind of story I would really hate, because its morality is so convoluted, and I tend to prefer stories with a very clear moral compass. And if a story is just bad guys doing bad things to other bad guys, I'm like, I don't care about this story. And so I do care about Dune. I have read the books. I read the original book twice. I watched the films.
I think
part of it is Paul is just
his dad.
That's part of it. And Paul is such an intriguing character. I think the characters hold it, the writing holds it, and it makes up for the fact that the moral system is twisted. But the writing is so strong. And by that, I don't mean beautiful sentences, the kind of postmodern, like Doesn't matter what the
Right.
story is as long as the
Right.
sentences are pretty. But no, Paul's a very intriguing character. Jessica is a very intriguing character. Even the
Yes.
Harkonnen are interesting. It's a bunch of interesting characters. They all make sense. It has a very high verisimilitude. So it has a pretty complicated world and it follows its own world rules very
Yes.
well. And that verisimilitude is so important for science fiction. And it's one of the reasons why a lot of modern science fiction really struggles is because editors aren't editing for verisimilitude. Half of them don't even know what the word means. They don't know how important it is to the kind of people who read sci-fi, right? It's like they're shoving their glasses up and saying, well, actually, you want them
Yeah.
to be saying that in your defense, not in
Yeah.
your not while attacking you. And if you
And
want
I mean,
help with verisimilitude,
how many of us have tried the worm walk, right? How many of you tried sand walking? Like,
yeah.
I could live. I could
If
do
you
it.
want help with verisimilitude, I have a bunch of Patreon Toolbox tools to help you with it. I've got some compendium tools, one for like flora and fauna to help keep the plants and animals straight in your fantasy world, one for characters, one for locations, one for factions and races. Like all of these tools would have been very helpful for Frank Herbert as he was writing Dune. He probably built his own from scratch, but being
Mhm.
true to your own world, following your own world's rules is really important. And if you do a good enough job, you can hold people through your story even if they reject your moral framework.
Another strength of Dune is the sheer number of mentors that Paul has. Positive mentors. You have his father, Leto, who teaches him honor. You have Duncan Idaho, who teaches him swordcraft and also honor. You have Thufir, who teaches him how to think, basically turning him into the human computer because Paul is also a mentad. You have Gurney, who just teaches him scrappiness and loyalty. You have Jessica, who's teaching him the more feminine things of manipulation, Benny Gesserit level stuff. But then, as Paul makes the transition into becoming a Fremen, he has Stilgar. And Stilgar was so well done in the movies because he's the one who gave him the name of Muad'Dib and how important that was. Because when he said, "What's the little mouse that hops around in the desert?" everyone starts laughing because they're like, that thing is so weak and kind of absurd. And Stilgar is the one that says, "No, no, no. Muad'Dib is wise in the ways of the desert. This is a great choice as a name." And then Stilgar is the one that throws him out to the worm to ride his first worm. And when that worm comes, he's like, "No, no, no, no. That's the grandfather of the desert. What are you? No, it's too big." And it's a great perspective
And
to
and I
have
think
on Paul's journey.
and I think part of the reason from a zeitgeist perspective why that worked so well is that the late half of the 20th century you saw a decline in male mentorship.
Yes.
Institutions like the Boy Scouts were fading. A lot of other forms of male mentorship were fading, and this hunger for mentorship. Baby boomers are very hostile to mentorship, and it's very interesting going back and watching fiction that was very resonant with baby boomers. And parts of it that don't make sense to me at all as a millennial who grew up desperate for male mentorship was how rebellious Luke Skywalker was to his
Mm,
mentors.
yeah.
He doesn't listen to any of his mentors. Yoda's like, "No,
Correct.
you got to stay here and train." He's like, "No, I'm going to go and do my own thing." And that doesn't make any sense to a millennial. And I don't know if it makes sense to Gen Z or to Gen X. I know for sure Gen Z would be like, "Why would you do that?" Right? We're far more likely to be hunger for mentorship. And so in this regard, this element that would have been only a little bit resonant in the 1960s became more and more resonant as time moved on because
Hmm.
people became more and more hungry for mentorship. And so reading this book felt like you were mentored by Duncan Idaho in Honor and Swordcraft. Or you were mentored
Right.
in the Mentat and how to outthink the opponent. You were mentored by Jessica and how to manipulate and how to use magic, right? Like you felt like you were the chosen one, which really played into the millennial fantasy because millennials grew up reading Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, and we all feel like we're the chosen ones, charged with saving the world, right? That's kind of the millennial fantasy, which is why the world is such a mess right now. we're not doing a good job as world saviors.
Right.
We're not doing great.
Right.
We are handed a broken world, and we are not fixing it. So hopefully, we can grow in wisdom as a generation.
But
Um,
you also have the idea in Dune that Paul has been handed reins of power. And when you move those reins at all, everything moves. Okay. It's like when we like a colonel would be talking to the battalion or something like that, be like, "Hey, what are some questions or what are some concerns you have?" And some idiot PFC is like, my sergeant did this to me, or this is whatever. And when the colonel swings the hammer, like everyone gets hit. So we're like diving on that PFC. Stop it, because when Paul has the power and he moves them at all, like we're talking about spice here, which is a direct correlation to oil. Okay, spice is necessary for space travel. Oil is necessary for any other kind of travel on Earth. Okay, so that's kind of their thing there, and it's who is controlling the oil, who is controlling the spice. Whoever controls the Arrakis controls the spice. Whoever controls the spice controls space travel.
And where is the oil found? In the desert.
In the
right?
desert.
So being aware of what's going on in geopolitics is really important for science fiction, particularly. Less so in fantasy, but still important for fantasy. And this is one of the areas where a lot of authors who don't really understand science fiction and how it's very often tied to geopolitics, especially the classics, right? Asimov tied to geopolitics,
Mhm.
Herbert tied to geopolitics. Who did Starship Troopers?
Hensley? No.
Heinlein.
Heinlein, yeah.
Super attached to geopolitics. So understanding the great game. So science fiction tends to be about the great game, or the game of houses, the great game between nation states.
Yes.
You got to understand how it applies, and the spice metaphor goes even deeper, because we don't just use petroleum to make ships move across the ocean. We also use petroleum to make plastics, and we use it to make pharmaceuticals. We use it to make artificial food coloring, right? The RFK is like petroleum derived artificial food dyes, right? If you use that phrase in the ingredients list, people aren't going to want it, but because they don't know what artificial means. Artificial always means petroleum derived, because what's natural, what's artificial? We decided that artificial just means made from oil.
Dinosaurs.
Do you enjoy your bright yellow Mountain Dew? Some dinosaur died so that your Mountain Dew could be an unnatural shade of yellow.
Little plastic dinosaurs are made out of real dinosaurs.
So I'll be very curious what they do with the next film. We may need to circle back around on this next year, because
I'm looking forward to it. I loved those movies so much. They were beautifully made. The music is great, which is important for me as an author because I use music to write. But I love the ferocity they infused into things. Like Fade Ralpha, I like him better in the movie than he was in the book. The way Paul transformed when he gave the speech to the tribes and refused to kill Stilgar and then led them into the Sardaukar. There's just so good.
It's the whole book revolves around utilitarian ethics, and it's written by a man who doesn't believe in divine justice.
Right.
So the atheism of the author becomes very real in the morality of the book, because if you don't believe in divine justice, then the ends justify the means. And so if killing 62 billion people is what's needed for the good end,
you'll never answer for it beyond your own conscience.
Right. Then it's justified. And if you believe that the world is governed by an all-powerful God who will hold humans accountable for the acts that they do in the body and whether they be good or evil, you approach moral questions differently. And this is where the religion of the author really affects the writing in very important and subtle ways that are pervasive. And in no areas that's more apparent than in the moral system of the story. And I actually have an entire episode of the Christian Publishing Show that I feel like is one of the 3 most important episodes I've ever done on the Christian Publishing Show. And it's about this very question of morality, and not teaching good and evil, but how your book implies a moral system because of the consequences that your characters suffer from their actions, right? So stories are made up of cause and effect. And as the author, you determine both the causes and the effects. And you can convey a very distorted moral system if causes and effects are not connected well. Also, you ruin your verisimilitude.
Right. So in Dune, they have a mistake that breaks the world, and that's why it's kind of an awful world to live in is that the chosen one isn't chosen by anyone. There's no chooser. The chosen, the Kwisatz Haderach was developed by a breeding program by the Bene Gesserit, who turned out not to be very good at what they did. Because Paul totally took them off guard. He wasn't even supposed to be the Kwisatz Haderach. He was supposed to be a girl, and that girl's son was supposed to be the Kwisatz Haderach. And the same thing in the Matrix. There's no chooser of the chosen one. It's algorithmically determined. It just generates a chosen one every now and then they reset the Matrix, and they just keep it going. And the difference between that and Christian-based chosen ones, because the story of Jesus is the original messianic story. He is the Messiah.
But there are other anointed ones. Yeah, but there's other chosen ones before that. There's other people who the word Messiah is applied to. It's applied to, I think, Joash, Josiah, I think, is referred to as an anointed one, and Cyrus is referred to as an anointed one.
But there's always an anointer,
a chooser, exactly.
Yes.
And David, right? He was chosen by God to be king. He was anointed, literally, to be king. And that, so it's like, oh, well, your religion doesn't matter writing stories. It's like, it absolutely matters, because you either have a chooser or you don't, right? You have to pick. You can't. And
your world breaks if your chooser isn't a person, it's a system, or it's a generated result.
Well, then that thing becomes God, right? It's kind of like the whole like simulation theory. It's like,
we keep coming back to God because there must be a chooser.
The simulation theory is just religion, but with slightly different vocabulary. It's like, okay. You're acting like this is some new thing. This is the allegory of the cave. Plato wrote about this like 2,000 years ago. This is not as special as you think it is. All right, so we should probably wrap this up. We've gone long. We want to hear what you think, though. Do you think Paul Atreides is a villain or a hero? I think that Frank Herbert accidentally made him the hero in the first book, and he wrote the second book to make it clear that he was the villain.
It's
because I think he intended
I would agree.
Paul
There's
to be
a tonal shift. There's a tonal shift between books 1 and 2. And 2 is a bad book. No one remembers it. Children of Dune, though, the third one, it goes back to excellence.
So Rachel says that he's an anti-hero.
I do not agree.
Yeah. He
it's not that simple.
Well, and so he's too much of who he is to be an anti-hero. An anti-hero is often somebody in conflict with himself. Paul is a very decisive person who is not in conflict with himself. He is grappling with a world in which he doesn't have a lot of, where he can see the future and he can see how most of the outcomes are bad outcomes. And he's trying to find that 1 in a million path that doesn't lead to the end of all things. And so he's only in conflict with himself in the most superficial way. But in reality, he knows exactly what he wants. He just doesn't know how to get there. That's a hero or a villain. It's not an anti-hero. It's not somebody who's grappling with his own sin nature and trying to repent and going back and forth and trying to do good things, but he's failing and sometimes doing bad things. That's not what Paul is going through.
He's both, because I don't like the terms hero and anti-hero, because it's like people try to quantify them differently. Then you have preservers and destroyers. We'll say protectors and destroyers. And what people term anti-heroes are actually destroyers. They go and they destroy the evil. The problem is that Paul is both. Paul is destroying something evil to preserve the overall humanity from another destroyer. But this system has to get out of the way.
Which leads to this comment,
spice. Yeah.
Where he's just a protagonist. And I think this is part of what makes him so appealing as a character, is that he's absolutely a protagonist. Even though he's a boy at the beginning of the story, he is making choices that is moving the plot forward. Yes. He is powerful and his choices matter. And when he decides something, the whole universe changes. It makes him very appealing as a character. He's not being dragged from scene to scene, right? Even when he's running away, he is choosing to run, right? He's not being kidnapped, and his passive moments are very rare, and he's a very, very active character.
I mean, he learns how to use the voice right as soon as the Harkonnens are going to kill him and his mom. Like, his training finally goes into full effect at that moment, and he's able to save himself and his mother from being killed and dumped out of a thopter into the middle of the desert. So
someone says we need a new term for neither hero nor villain.
He's the hero. I stand on the side that Paul is a hero.
I think for book one, you're right, and I think that was
no. I think overall, did you read the whole series?
I think overall, it's true as well overall, because he comes back in Children of Dune is trying to fix it as like the voice from the wilderness. But I think that in book two, Herbert was trying to make him a villainous character, and trying to turn him into a villain. I
think Frank Herbert was saying that Paul was broken by what he had done because he's not strong in book two.
I want y'all to vote while we're talking. One word.
In book three, he's definitely broken.
Yeah, one word: hero, villain. Just type the one word in. Let your voice. Who is right and who is wrong? We'll throw it to the people.
Long live the writers.
So let's continue this we've gone 20 minutes over. Let's continue this conversation in the chat. There's the live chat, which is about to end, but there will be an ongoing chat underneath this video. It helps juice our algorithm for y'all to argue over whether Paul Atreides is hero or villain. Do check out the affiliate links for the Black Friday deals, and don't forget to like our new channel. Remember, we're moving to the new channel starting next week. Starting in December, we're going to have a new channel. You can find that /author-update, but it's easier if you just click the link below because it's got an @ sign, and it's easier to click the link. Jonathan, before we go, any real quick final thoughts?
Not really. It's a great book. You should definitely read it to understand geopolitical things. It's a great primer on how to understand that. And the best I saw in the chat, people were talking about how do I learn about geopolitics? Dune's a good introduction, and then I'll start reading history. History is your best guide to what's going on today.
Yeah, there's some YouTubers I could recommend. I'm blanking on their names. What If Halt Hiss does some good geopolitical analysis videos. Also, there's the former Stratfor guy. If somebody post on authormedia.social if you really want some resources on keeping up with geopolitical stuff, and I'll give you some news that gives you a sense of the Great Game. But you can see the Great Game better in history because part of the Great Game is hidden from us in the current time, and some of it it's only hidden for people who are consuming news. But if you're consuming intelligence, you can get it, and there's publicly available intelligence, and there's a difference in news and intelligence.
Yes,
and there's
what can I tell you, and what do I know?
There are some things that those who know don't say, and those who say do not know.
For instance, Google spokespeople.
All right, I'm Thomas Umstead Jr.
And I'm Jonathan Sugar Jr.
Live long and prosper.